Hey, beauties, and welcome to the Energy of Manifestation podcast. I am your host, Leslie, and as always, I am so excited for this week's episode. We have an amazing guest here with us that was previously recorded, and my new question and answer segment has been launched this week. So before we get into that, we are going to roll that intro. Okay, if you were here with me on the last episode, the podcast, we have some new exciting updates. Exciting update number one, I am adding a question and answer segment to the podcast. So you can submit your questions to me either through my Facebook channel or through the form linked below, and I will answer them live here on the podcast. And as an extra special bonus for those of you who are wanting to go a little bit deeper into the work that I do, I am adding a subscription piece to the podcast. So if you are interested in receiving portal activations, which are energetic up leveling to help bring you into the being your higher level self, then this is for you. So all the information for that is below. And I am so excited to bring these aspects into reality. Some of them have been a long time in the works, and it is now time to really unleash. So here is what questions we have coming in this week. And as always, with my recent marketing, they are right on par with what is coming down the pipe in terms of my offerings and all of that stuff. So these questions are all about intuition, and let's dive in. So, question number one is, what somebody wants to know, what is intuition? So your intuition is your connection to source energy. So source energy is the um universal intelligence, it is God, it is your innate wisdom. So all of the energy that is out there, you are connected to all of it. But there is so much information and possibilities out there for you that your intuition guides you to your truth. It guides you into the root of who you are, and it's always bringing you back home, bringing you back home. But if you're not used to using that muscle, if you're not used to listening to it, then it's not going to be as strong of a sense for you. So, I'm sure you've all heard of people who have had these gut feelings on to go a different way home, or these gut feelings of not to go somewhere. That is their intuition speaking through them. And there's many different ways that you can access your intuition. For me, I have three strong faculties because I have taken the time to develop my intuition over and over and over. My strongest faculty is sight. When I close my eyes and get into my space, I can see things that are not there. And that is my intuition coming through. Then I also hear, like throughout my day, I'll hear a little nudge to message this person, a little nudge to call this person. So that is my intuition coming through auditorily. And I have also, when I am ignoring intuition or it is a really strong sign, I have literally felt like a push forward. There's been a few times where I've felt this push to get going, get doing this, and get moving. So, your intuition is helping to guide you along the way. And that leads me into our next question. How do I know if it is my intuition? Because we all have those voices in our head, right? And the best way to describe it is your intuition is always there cheering you on, guiding you along the way. Whereas your negative thoughts or your negative mindset sound like little gremlins. They bring about the fear, they make you worry, they make you have doubt. And the intuition guides you to your truth. Now, don't get me wrong, there are moments when your intuitive nudges are going to cause a little bit of fear to come up, but it's more of an elevated, excited fear. Like, holy shit, I can't believe this idea just came in and I'm scared shitless to do it, but you know you need to do it anyway. So there's that difference. Whereas, like, when fear comes in and the negative gremlins take over, it's more like, yeah, that's not going to work for you. Like, it's more like a nag in a sense. So I hope that resonates. Your intuition is more there to lift you up, to guide you along your path, bring you into your greatest success. And it's taking all of these thoughts and all of these possibilities that exist in the realm that we are not currently living in, because everything you think is made for you. You have the choice and the power to choose what you accept and what you bring into it. So, the next question is, how do I develop my intuition? When somebody is really wanting to develop their intuition and get back in touch, I find your intuition is like your internal GPS guidance system. So, your internal GPS guidance system is always guiding you to your path of greatest success, and it's always bringing you back. So, if you're wanting to develop that, to bring yourself back out of the fear, out of the doubt, out of all the worry, and into your path of greatest success, you need to develop your intuition, because that's exactly what it is. It's your internal guidance system. So, there are 4 tips that I love to recommend to people. One is create space. Just like you would book yourself to go do a workout or go to the gym, create space in your calendar to connect to your intuition and just play with it, just have fun with it. And then create a space inside your home, for example, because you can't connect to your intuition if you're in the kitchen and the kids are around the table yakking. In the beginning, you need to create a sacred space. So, whether that's like a time where you say, guys, I'm doing something, like, don't bother me for the next few minutes, or you create like a spot in your office that maybe you light a candle or pull out some crystals. You don't have to do that. And if it sets the intention that you're going to connect to the intuition, then do that on that level for sure. The next one is connect. Not just connecting to your intuition. I recommend doing these first. Connect to your body and connect to your breath and connect to the present moment. So, how do you do that? Begin by connecting to your breath, feeling the rise and fall of your chest, the inhale, the exhale, the inhale, the exhale. Beautiful. And then take notice of your body. With each breath, as you continue to go, notice how your body begins to just settle, begins to relax, and notice spots of tension that you can breathe into and release that tension. And then connect to the present moment. My favorite way of connecting to present moment is through grounding. And the best way to ground is to Imagine yourself connecting to Mother Earth. So, whether you are visioning tree roots growing out from underneath you, going deep, 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 deep down into the soil, or you're actually picturing your feet in some warm sand or whatever your favorite spot to put your feet is, maybe it's the soft grass. Connect to Mother Earth because she gently pulls us down, pulls us into the present moment because all we have is now. And when you do that, you're able to open up your mind for the abundance that is available outside of you. So, the next piece is to listen and not just listen with your ears. I invite you to tap into your senses as you are connecting to your intuition and perhaps have a question ready that you want to seek answer to. Listen with your sense of smell, your sense of taste, your sense of sight. And for the sense of sight, perhaps maybe closing your eyes is a better way to really focus and concentrate for you. Listen with your ears and then listen with also your feelings. Like, how does it feel in your body? Because it can be as simple as a resounding yes or a resounding no. And then the last piece is to trust yourself. Always, always trust yourself. And if you think you're doing it wrong, you're not, by the way, but just tap into your imagination and pretend, play. If you knew what you were doing, what would it look like? Because this is the key is trust. Just trust what is coming up for you, even if it doesn't make sense. As you begin to develop it, just trust what comes up, write it down. So, with that, those are my best tips for tapping into your intuition. And if you are interested in connecting to your intuition and really developing it, my course Source is launching. We are starting no, March 7th, and I'm going to be teaching you how I go through my step by step process that really deepens my connection to my intuition inside my course, inside my program Source. And it is going to be next level. We are going to learn how to connect to the ancient wisdoms of the universe so that you can see all the possibilities that are around you. We are going to learn how to connect to your higher level self energy. We are going to play with your intuition and seek guidance within that. There is some experiential pieces to connecting to your intuition because that is how we develop it by using it. So it's not just going to be another lecture. We are going to have moments where we practice and we connect and we share. And it is going to be next level. This is going to change the game for those of you who are eager and willing to develop your intuition and really see things from a lens that you have not seen before. This has been my strongest tool in creating the life and dreams that I desire. So, without further ado, I am so excited to introduce my guest, Donna Katz. She is an entrepreneur, and we talk all about her journey and how she discovered that she had the power to manifest later in her life. So it is an absolutely mind blowing and incredible story, and I can't wait for you guys to hear it. So, without further ado, let's meet Donna. Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Energy of Manifestation podcast. I am so excited. We have a special guest here with us again this week, Donna Katz, and she is actually in my world through the work we do with Danielle Amos and understanding and deepening our mindset. And we are actually also in a mastermind together, the Elite Achievers Mastermind, which is shout out to all the girls listening because it is the best group out there. And yeah, I wanted to have her on as a guest because I think that her journey is absolutely incredible. And I'm excited to learn more. That is part of my human design profile, is that like I sort of crave information. So Donna is an entrepreneur. She is deep into mindset work, spiritual development. She is a mom, a grandma, and welcome.
Hi,
Welcome.
Leslie. Thank you. Thank you for that. And gosh, it's so amazing how our paths have crossed
Yeah.
and we continue to grow together. I love it.
For sure. So we were just chatting a bit about before about your unique journey because you actually didn't discover that you were a manifester or that you could manifest until later on in your life. And then in Bob Proctor's world, Danielle's world, you were what was like an unconscious competent. You knew you were manifesting, but you didn't know how. So, could you share a little bit about like your journey and when you realized you had this power inside you?
Ah, I'd love to. So yeah, it's pretty amazing. I had just gotten out of a 23-year marriage and probably at the bottom of the bottom in my confidence, in my my self-esteem, and just lost in who I was and what I was going to do. I was a stay-at-home mom for a long time raising children, so it was quite a shift for me. Although I knew, like I just knew in every fiber of my being that I was meant to do something. So this happened to me when I was 50. I had to reinvent myself all over again. So it was a new Donna. I wasn't going to be the same person, letting circumstances, use me throughout my life, being quiet and always in the back. And I just started to develop finding my voice. And it really was interesting because, like I said, I started from zero. So my first marriage was, he had addiction issues, gambling and drugs, and I had no clue. So by the time I got out, our home investments, our retirement investments, everything was gone. Everything. So literally started from zero, nothing.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
I had
yeah,
no idea.
I
Like,
know. Yeah. So, but you know what? Here's the thing. What I've learned that experience, it was important to go through that experience. I
yeah.
went through all of that. So for everyone out that's had this experience or these kinds of experiences, they are, if I didn't have that, I wouldn't be where I am today. So I'm grateful that I got that I had that experience. It's taken me some time now to look back and go, okay, I'm grateful for that. I mean, in the thick of it, you're not really looking at things that clearly,
Yeah.
but you can really look at things clearly when you pull ahead and look back. And I was meant to go through that to be who I am today.
Mhm.
So yeah, so it really started at my sister-in-law. She is an absolute gem. Our joke with each other is we got each other in the divorce. We were married to brothers, and we both. So we got you know what do we call it? We got custody of each other.
That's awesome.
And hang on, I think I'm frozen. So I'm just gonna turn my camera off quickly.
That's okay. I noticed you were frozen, and then at the same time, like I'm like the audio's still going good, so it's still good. It's still working.
It's all the energy that's going out into this right now. I'm telling you.
Yes. And this is
So
like
yeah, so
prime example,
I
right?
know. So my sister-in-law, bless her, she opened up a business and asked me to come work for her. And she gave me a book with a beautiful inscription by Jack Canfield. And
Okay.
this was the start of my path through mindset work and setting goals and, just really discovering what I wanted. And when I was working with her in a weight loss clinic of all places, I was serving people and I loved it. And one of my clients, she was a real estate agent and she had just got her real estate license. And she said to me, if you're ever looking for a home, and I'm like, you know what, Ellen, I don't think I'd ever be able to own a home again. And she says, well, just tell me if you could own a home, what would it look like? So I had visualized a century home with a lot of property and farms and not in a subdivision. So I gave her these kind of criteria of what I would love.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, Leslie, within a week, she sent me a listing for a house not too far from where I was working. And she said, just go see it. I'm like, Ellen, I can't own a home. I don't have any money. She goes, we're not even there yet. Just go look. So I went to the house. My husband and we literally spent 2 hours in the house and we were like, oh my gosh, how beautiful this is lovely. What if we could? Anyway, she said, why don't you go put an offer in? And I'm like, Ellen, I don't have any money. She goes, well, you don't need the money yet. You haven't gotten the house. So I was at work and I said to my sister-in-law, do you mind if I take a couple hours to go? Currently, I'm putting an offer in on a house. So she brought me into her office and she wrote me a check for $10,000. She said, you deserve this. I've had a lot of great things happen in my life. It's time for something great to happen to you. And she gave me a check, literally when I was walking out the door to go put an offer in on a house. So I went into the office, put the offer in. There was two of us competing and I got the home because I didn't have a house to sell. They had a condition on selling a home and I had a $10,000 check in my hand as a deposit. So she said, congratulations, you got the house. I'm like, well, great, but how am I paying for this? I don't how am I getting a mortgage? She says, I have a great mortgage broker. Just go talk to him. So I went and talked to him and he did magic and pulled numbers together for me, but I was still $11,000 short of qualifying for this mortgage. So he lent me $11,000.
Oh my God.
I know. It was like I really became aware and I got the house. So I really became aware at the time of how all that you have to do is really, really want something. The universe will figure out the how. Like I didn't have to know how for any of those steps I took. That
Yes.
was the moment I knew, Leslie, that I could manifest whatever I want. I knew it at that moment. So yeah, so that's my incredible beginnings and my incredible story of how I came into this world and this work and how I just I'm just it's just a knowing for me now.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's so funny because, like, as you're telling the story, like, I'm analyzing as you go, and I'm like, oh, that's where her paradigm showed up. And then, like, but you overcame it, and you just, like, the universe showed up for you because, like,
It
your
did.
desire
Yeah.
and was greater than your fear.
Yeah.
And
And it was something I really, really wanted. So I
yes,
think that's a key. Like if your goal is kind of, you're not really sure,
yeah.
the universe doesn't know what to send your way. But I was so crystal clear on the path I was going that it was throwing things in at me left, right, and center, like so it was yeah, it was just an amazing experience. Really amazing.
Oh my God. And then, so now that like you deepened your understanding and you've like, how has your um viewpoint shifted now that you know, like in working with the universal laws? I guess
Mhm.
that's essentially just it. You're
Yeah.
working in harmony with the universe.
Yeah. It's knowing when those voices pop up to quickly shift. And they do pop up for me. For
Mhm.
sure they do. I wanted to open a business in town. And again, I've never ran a bit, I've never owned a business. I wasn't an entrepreneur at the time. I used to work at a gymnastics club for 13 years to support my daughter in her quest as a gymnast.
Yep.
But during that time, I gained so much knowledge on that business that the town I was living in didn't have a gymnastics club. And I thought, now if I do the same thing that I did with my house,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
that would happen. So it made it a little easier the next time, Leslie,
Hmm.
to take that risk to put yourself out there. Um, it took over a year for that to manifest. There was a lot of roadblocks, a lot of things to go through and do, but I had that clear vision and goal.
Hmm.
And again, the timeline's really not up to us either.
No.
So it as long as we're moving towards and doing towards. So again, it took me over a year, but now I've owned this business for 11 years now. And again, it's just because of the mindset. There's
Yeah.
people ask, how did you do it? Well, I'm only thing I can tell you is my mind has shifted.
Mm.
That's all I can tell you. Strategies, you can have all kinds of business strategies. I survived through COVID, where a lot of business around me didn't,
You
and
not only survived, you thrived in COVID. Did you not?
incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I got into the work with Danielle pre-COVID because I wanted to up level. So I knew I could manifest. I just didn't know. I needed to fine tune or figure out why or how, or it wasn't just a one-time thing. Like I wanted this to be all the time. So I really wanted to dive into figure out how can I shift my old habits so that this happens more often and this happens all the time. So that's when I jumped in with Danielle, and she was instrumental. And this community that you're in, and
Yeah.
the support of the mostly women. We do have some men in there.
Yes.
Shout
Yeah.
out to the men. But the people in our community are all like-minded. Um, and we're all on the same journey, just in different ways,
Yeah.
right? But I think at the core, we're all doing the same thing. So yeah, I jumped in 2019. She asked me some amazing questions. She put me on the hot seat. So something like what you and I are doing now.
Yes. Yes.
Um, she she really pushed me to stretch myself, to do things that I never usually did, get uncomfortable, get on and
Mhm.
make videos, offer online programs, have my face stay out in that community, so that when everything opened up again, and I was shut down 5 times, like it was insane
Yeah.
that I'm still here. But when I opened up again, I had the biggest months I've ever had in my business. My very first $100,000 month. And then the year later, I had my first $200,000 month. So,
Oh my
you know,
gosh.
I know. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible.
That is like just amazing. And one thing like I really want to stress to our listeners is that like if Donna can do it, if I can do it, then so can you. And one of the common themes that I'm noticing in our stories is that we were both called for more.
Yes.
And we both knew that there was something better and something greater. So we knew something had to give. Like that was the way it was for me too. And there is just once you have this shift, it happens. So trust where you're going, listen to your intuition. Um, like it's just
Yeah.
incredible the way things keep flowing and showing up.
And intuition, I think you nailed it, Leslie, that when when you set your sights on something, something in your brain opens. And when you get those little nudges or those intuitive hits or those ideas that pop in, you are more aware of those. Like I am more aware of those now, um, and act on them.
Mhm.
Whereas before, I can honestly say I was just going through my life day by day, surviving, surviving, surviving,
Yeah.
with blinders on everything else that could have happened for me. Um, so I think intuition is really, really big and something that I'd like to even develop more of myself because I know you're quite, um, that's your
That
expertise
is
in.
my expertise. Yeah, I've even like in the past couple weeks, I've even experiences like there is several different ways that you can experience your intuition. You can, some people are auditory, they hear those whispers, like you had mentioned.
Yeah.
Some people see things, and then like they're all the senses, and some people have a combination of both. There's been a couple instances for me lately where I have felt like a giant shove on the back. Like, okay, I'm like, okay, I get it. I gotta move
I hear
forward
you. I
with
hear
this.
you.
So it's just it's interesting in the way that we receive it. And it's for me, and I don't know if you've noticed this over your journey too, your my intuition is getting louder. Like
Mm,
you cannot not listen to it. Especially the ones like I still notice moments of like, "Ooh, that's a neat idea," but then don't act on it. And
yeah.
then but the ones that like are really loud, they're giving that big shove.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And for me, just kind of getting quiet and really thinking, what do you want? Like, what is it I want? And, to achieve the business and then to achieve the financial success. Okay, now the challenge is now what? Now what? Right? Like,
Mm,
should I just settle for this? And like, no, like there's so much more that I can do and that there's so much more of an impact I can make.
yeah.
Recently, one of the things on my vision board was owning a property. I didn't know where, but I
Yeah.
knew it was going to be hot and there was an ocean and I
Yep.
had a beautiful vision. And sure enough, now as of June, own a property in Costa Rica.
Yay. And you're
And
leaving. No, you're going on a cruise soon. I was gonna say,
first,
but
I'm
you're
going on a
going there
cruise.
soon too.
March, I'm doing that. But here's the most amazing thing. In March, I'm going with kids and grandkids. So for me
Oh,
to be able to
very
have
cool.
this for them
Yeah.
is like I never thought of that. Like somebody owning a vacation property, I always thought that was for somebody else. Like it never occurred to me that
Mhm.
that could be for me until I thought, wait a minute, why can't that be for me?
Yeah.
And the work that we do, all we are taught is if you desire it,
Mhm.
it's for you.
Yeah.
Then it's already done. We just
Mhm.
need to calibrate to that.
Yeah.
So that place was already there for me, just waiting for me to raise, my vibration and
Yeah.
raise myself to that level of that goal.
Mhm.
But just to be able to have my family and my kids and grandkids experience it. This is one of my grandkids is their first time on an airplane. So
Oh, that's so
just like
awesome.
it's just so great to be able to do that,
Yeah.
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 And that's like the beauty of it too, is that we are all like connected to source. So, I'll get inspired by things that you say or that you are dreaming of and be like, oh, yeah, that's for me too. Because we are all connected. We've already had several synchronicities just on this call that have shown up. And the the ideas that we get are specifically meant for us. I always use the example, I think I got this example when like during COVID when Cobra Kai came out, like the karate show. Um I'm like, I will not get the idea in my head to start a karate school. That is not like in my, and that's okay. But as you were talking about like the idea for your home in Costa Rica and calibrating, it's just I always use this example too, is the radio station. So when you tune into your favorite radio station, you need to like just tweak it sometimes to change the vibration or the energy. And that's what you're doing when you're in harmony with the laws of the universe and you know the power of a positive mind. So it
Yeah.
is just huge.
Yeah, I know. It's so good. And it's just such a nice place to be. It's just such a great, it's just really so good to be able to choose the thoughts I think, to understand I can choose the
Yeah.
thoughts I think. And I'm not going to say that negative thoughts don't come into my head. They
No.
do,
Yeah.
but I can now work through those very quickly and
Mhm.
say, that's not what I would prefer. This is what I would prefer. And how would that feel? And then get into the feeling of that, of the opposite. And I've been able to do that more and more and more. And I think that's a huge part of um, why we are manifestors. I
Yeah.
really believe that. Yeah.
And we're here to like raise the consciousness of this world. So by you, like I'm honored that you are here on this podcast because by you sharing your story and your voice, you mentioned that earlier that this is a
Didn't
big,
have one before,
yeah.
Leslie. I'm telling you, I was silenced for a long time.
Mhm.
Even when I got into Danielle's community on our study clubs in the morning, my camera would be off. I didn't share, I didn't speak. So this has been quite the amazing and it's a 4-year journey for me right now in discovering who I am and discovering my voice and my power and what I can do and how I can serve and what a role model I can be to my staff and to my kids and my grandkids. And it's such a great place to be.
Mm.
And for anyone out there that hears any of this messaging, it's never too late. I
Yes.
have people all the time that say, why don't you just retire? I'm like, what is that? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know,
And
because that's society, you
mhm.
get to a certain age and that's it.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of women might think, well, what have I got to offer?
Yeah.
And my God, there's so much more to life now, but
Yeah.
still.
Well, and like you see the impact that it is changing for your kids, for your grandkids. You're rewriting their history. If you had have like stayed on the path you were, like your
Yeah,
life and their lives as a result would be the exact same. And that is the beauty of this ripple effect. You have found your light at the end of the tunnel and you're like a lighthouse, so to speak. I love that
I
analogy
like
too.
that.
I love that one. um you're the lighthouse calling people home and home to themselves by just doing your work, by just being you and sharing your greatness.
I think you're the same, Leslie, too. I think we stay here, people will come, like we can raise the vibration and consciousness of people around us.
Yeah.
And that's just by being who we are. That's it.
Yeah.
Not by like, telling people what they should or shouldn't do or think or not
Mhm.
think. It's just by leading by example,
Yeah.
showing people what's possible,
Creating an
living,
impact.
creating an impact, living
Yeah.
out your purpose. Our
Mhm.
purpose in this life is to live life to its fullest. We're put on this planet to be expressed and to live. And, we could just spread that message a little
Mhm.
at a time. How
Yeah.
great would it be?
Yeah. So if you're hearing this and you're resonating, this is your sign to answer that call for more because it is meant for you too. And everything that we experience is to show you that it's meant for you. And I think that's like can be a common misconception about social media too, is that like people think that it's all fake and, you know, but I choose to see it as like inspiration, and you don't know what you don't know. So by somebody sharing their life, it creates inspiration. And yeah.
It really does.
Yeah. So, do you have any advice for anybody who might be thinking about answering their call for more?
Just take the first step,
Yeah.
right? That's it. Just decide what you want. And that might not be the easiest thing if you've never really thought about that. So maybe take some time for yourself, write a list. What are the things you really want in this world without thinking about how it's going to
Yeah.
happen? Don't even think about that.
No.
Just write your list and focus on one or two things that you really want and take the first step. It's just like when I bought that house, it was just the first step. And
Hmm.
then with that step opened up other things. And then the next step,
Yeah.
then the universe answers to that step. It's always got your back. The
Yeah.
universe always has your back. That's my big message to everyone.
Oh, I love it. I love it. So, where can people connect with you if they
Ah,
want to be inspired by things that you do and all of that good stuff?
so my gymnastics page is Genesis Gymnastics on Instagram. You can see me there. And personally, I am the Healthy Entrepreneur 57. And that's where you can find me on Instagram. And yeah,
Amazing. Amazing.
sharing,
And I love like your date night idea for your
right?
gymnastics. Like if only I was closer, I would be dropping the kids off.
So that was from a mastermind that we had done. Like, how can I serve more? What could I give my customers more of? And how about some time for them, the parents, to go on a date and us to keep the kids for pizza, movie, and gymnastics. So yeah, we have our Valentine's date night this Saturday. So it's filling up
Oh,
great. Yeah,
amazing.
so cool.
So, if you are in the Bradford, Ontario area and you want
Yeah.
to have a date night this Saturday, actually, this is going to air after this Saturday.
Oh.
So,
Well, just
so
keep looking on my social media because we do date
yes,
nights once a month, cartwheel clinics. We have programs for kids. Yeah, just check us out.
amazing. Well, thank you so much for being on here. And it was an honor to have you. And we will see you next week to all the listeners on the podcast.
Thank you so much, Leslie.